Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
You know what time it is.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Well, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back into another edition of Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, as we get ready to talk you through the primetime topics in not only sports in Central Texas, but all over the nation. Hope everybody is having a great Tuesday today. We finished the football weekend as Monday Night Football wrapped up last night. We're looking forward to the next week. Got a couple days to get our stuff ready. I'm joined in the studio today with Rocky Miller. He was just telling me he's already got some of his stuff lined up for this weekend as far as his picks and predictions are made. So he's getting his work in early this week. I'm also joined with Kyrell Gibson on here today. Kyrell, what's going on?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Another good weekend for football.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, hey, I'm gonna talk about our couple picks that we had coming up for this last weekend that we made, and we did all right, man. We did okay. We had the Bucks. We both picked the Bucks to win. I think you had the Bills. I picked the Ravens, and that one I picked we both picked the Vikings. I took the points on the Cardinals. You know, with that 3.5, thinking that high-powered offense was going to do something, and Jaden Daniels just shut me up pretty quick. You picked the Commanders, though. Detroit, we both picked Detroit, and we both picked Atlanta as far as on the games that we picked. Got Rocky Miller, like I said, in studio with me today as well, everybody. Rocky, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? What's up, man? Today's kind of a somber day for me.
Yeah.
My favorite TV dad passed away, man.
Yeah, I seen that. Rest in peace.
Man, James Evans, also known, his real name is James John Amos.
Yeah.
But I know him as James Evans.
Yeah.
He also played the Asian Kunta Kinte on Roots, and he's like a guy who, especially when I was a kid, he raised me.
Yeah.
Watching Good Times reruns.
No,
and
for
so,
sure.
Pretty sad to hear that he's passed on, man. And so, in addition to that, we also had the passing of the late, great Dikembe Mutombo at age 58. He died of brain cancer, man. And that guy's, just a few years older than me, man. And so when you hear about young men like that passing away, it's always sad, especially when you hear about the kind of person that Dikembe Mutombo was.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard a real touching mention of Dikembe on Charles Barkley's Instagram, man. Charles Barkley went live and talked about it, man. It was a really heartfelt expression about what Dikembe Mutombo meant to him. So it was interesting, man. It impacted a lot of people a lot of different ways, man. You could tell he was a really special guy.
No, for sure. Definitely rest in peace to John Amos and rest in peace to Dikembe Mutombo as well, as we start the day off here today, fellas. And like we said, wrapped up the football weekend fully after the closeout game on Monday Night Football. The Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. See, I'm just going to go straight to that one. I'm not, I'm not going to really talk about the Titans and Dolphins that much. We got we got better football to talk about.
Hey, that was ugly.
that was
ugly.
That was super ugly, and just as I expected. Didn't think it would be much.
When you got combined the quarterbacks Hundley, Will Levis, and Mason Rudolph, you know what I mean? That's a collection of And then no shot at Hundley, but he only got there Thursday or something like that.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
He didn't even have much time to work.
He was a start quarterback. So, man, it was a tough situation for the Dolphins. And, again, not worthy of any discussion at this point.
Yeah. It is what it is as far as that game. But the game that we did get that was good last night, the one we expected to be good last night, ended up being a shootout. And the Detroit Lions getting a win over the previous undefeated Seattle Seahawks. Seattle was 3-0 coming into this game. Detroit 2-1 coming into this game. So Detroit able to get a win in this one, 42-29. Big time win for the Detroit Lions as they were able to go out and really just capitalize on this Seahawks defense that really couldn't get a stop throughout much of the game. Jared Goff really shined in this one. And Jared Goff is one of those quarterbacks, he's not the best quarterback in the league, but in certain situations, certain scenarios, in certain schemes, he can really be one of the best, man. He can be a top 10, top 5 quarterback in this league whenever he has the right scenarios.
Hold
around.
on, my friend.
Hey, I'm just saying that
so this is the problem. When you see Jared Goff is the ultimate fool's goal.
Okay.
Right. So this is why I say that. And Kyrie, you tell me what you think. Under perfect conditions, no wind, no snow,
I tried to dress
rain,
it up.
no pass rush.
No pass rush.
He can look like Joe Montana. He can look like one of the greats.
Yeah.
But how many times is football played like that? And then how many times when the games really matter is football played like that?
That is true. And I tried to dress it up. I tried to make it say under certain circumstances he can be one of the best. But I will, in the defense of Jared Goff, he has been to multiple NFC championships. He has been to a Super Bowl. And there's many quarterbacks in this league that cannot say they've been
in the Super Bowl.
I didn't say he won the Super Bowl. I said he's been to 2 NFC championships as well. And there's multiple quarterbacks that can't say that as well. So back to Jared Goff before we get to breaking down our top 10 quarterback list. Jared Goff, 18 for 18 last night, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And as much as Jared Goff was a premier person in this offense, I mean, this running game for the Detroit Lions is serious with the 2 running backs that they have there, and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also joined that with David Montgomery, who had 12 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Montgomery also had a catch that went for 40 yards. That was a highlight play. Everybody saw it on SportsCenter, breaking multiple tackles in that. Jameson Williams, 80 yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporta, 4 catches, 53 yards. Amon-Ra doing what he usually does, 6 catches, 45 yards, a touchdown. Also threw a touchdown to Jared Goff as well. So the Lions offense was pretty much unstoppable against this Seattle Seahawks defense, who we knew didn't have much coming into this. Kyrell said last week that the Seattle team has really just been playing against some bad quarterback play, and that was one of the main reasons they're 3-0. But I'm not completely out on this Seattle Seahawks team. Geno Smith in this game, 38 for 56. You can't expect to win any games if Geno Smith's got to throw the ball 56 times. 395 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Kenneth Walker won me my fantasy game. He saved the day because I was playing against Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs in my fantasy game last night. Kenneth Walker, though, saved the day with that 3-touchdown game. He had 12 carries, 80 yards to go along with it. DK Metcalf looked like a stud out there as well. 7 catches, 104 yards to go along with that. But Detroit comes out with the win, 42-29. Pretty dominant performance from the Detroit Lions, who are, as before the season started, we all had as to be one of those top 5 teams in the NFC coming into this season, and now they're starting to catch their stride and look like it after they dropped the game to Tampa Bay last week. So, Kyrell, I'll start with you, man. What do you think about this win last night with the Detroit Lions over the Seahawks?
Yeah, man, that was a great win. The Seahawks are on my list of pretenders coming into this week of football. But the defense, they need to come up with stops. But I also want to give the Seahawks some credit because this is a different football team with Kenneth Walker in the backfield, and he's missed a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the games that I haven't watched where they end up, just being on, going through them. I'm going through and looking after and seeing the work Charbonnet did, but Kenneth Walker brings a great another dimension to this team. Activates Geno a little bit. So he doesn't have to be a great quarterback. And back to and then with Detroit, man, like, hey, these windows come around in the NFL ever so often. Like Detroit is young. They're tough. They got a tough head coach. They kind of adopted his personality at this point. And then I feel like they have top 10 players at receiver and running back and on their O-line. This is probably the most stacked offense we've seen in a very long time. And like just talent wise, Jameson Williams is the number 2. That dude was celebrating from the 35-yard line and couldn't get caught. Like Dion, man. Like they got real talent over there. So it was a great game, man. Geno and his team and his offense, they might have lost their window, I would say. I don't know what direction they're going in right now, or what's going to put them over the top besides bringing back the Legion of Boom. Because they have offense, especially with a running back like that out there, and then the 3 receivers they have. They've invested well on offense, but defense, you guys couldn't get a stop. They just ran the ball when they couldn't do anything else. They just ran the ball and they got what they needed. So I was impressed with Detroit, Detroit's ability to push the issue on the offensive end. But I didn't see any defense from either one of these guys, and I'll harp on Detroit a little more than Seattle just because I do believe that the Lions are the most high-powered offense in the league at this point, just with based off talent alone. And to catch y'all and to get in with y'all on that Jared Goff comment, man. Hey, Jared Goff is Dak. Like, except Jared Goff has a little bit more arm talent, and Dak has a little bit more mobility. Like, he's more likely to break a tackle and, do a playmaker type play in Dak. And Jared Goff has a little bit better arm talent. But they both bus drivers. If you switch them, we getting the same results. Like Dak on the Lions, that's what he needs, honestly. But if you bring Jared Goff to Dallas, you're gonna get the same type of stuff that we seeing right now.
Hey, don't even try that. I don't want him nowhere near my Cowboys. Okay. So he is not that. And let me just say that Dak is a bona fide certified playmaker, no doubt about it. You can say you can make it. Jared Goff is no more than a delivery boy. Under perfect conditions, he can get your mail to you. But if it's raining, if it's sleet, if it's snow, if it's the conditions are not ideal, he's not going to deliver.
Now, okay, I got to come to Jared Goff's defense somewhat before I let you go, Rocky. I understand what you're saying. I do agree slightly with what Kyrell is saying. He is a Dak. But y'all saying Dak ain't never had a better offense than what Jared Goff has had in Detroit?
Okay.
Never.
Never.
Dak has never had a better offense than what Jared Goff has had in Detroit.
Never.
All right.
You're saying Dak has had
okay.
So you're saying Dak has had 2 high-end running backs before?
2.
He's had Zeke, who's better than Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Okay. 2 high-end running backs in their prime.
David Montgomery is not a high-end running back. Come on now. We're not going to stretch it. These are 2 good backs.
Running back.
Top 12. Zeke was top 3. Zeke was top 3.
What I'm saying is, you take let's just use the fantasy as a measurement, right? Mm-hmm. There is not, if you look at where these guys are, Jahmyr and Montgomery in fantasy, they're top 10 running backs, both of them. In
fantasy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That also, fantasy also is an indication of productivity, correct?
It is.
All right. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about what you think about them. I'm saying what they're doing on the field. Then you look, we've never had a tight end to the quality of Laporta.
Okay. Laporta's a second-year player, though.
Did you look?
Laporta is good. Laporta is good. Laporta is good.
Go look at this. I had him last year in fantasy, so I know exactly what he did.
Yeah. I had him too.
He was top 5 tight end.
He was.
Have we ever had a top 5 tight end?
No.
Okay, stop right there. Just stop right there.
Yeah, come on.
All right, and then when you look at the sheer collection of wide receivers, the production of those wide receivers, have we had anything like that?
Yes.
Okay, name them.
Y'all had the number 1 offense 2 years in a row.
No. Okay, no, we had an amazing quarterback that led that number 1 offense. Well, have we had
Let me go back to
receivers?
This. What year was Kellen Moore the offensive coordinator, man? We're not going to do this, y'all. We're not going to do this. What years was Kellen Moore the offensive coordinator?
If I'm not mistaken, he was the offensive coordinator like from 19 to 22 or something like that.
But Jalen, please don't just look at the numbers, man. Think about the talent. Amari Cooper and Amari Cooper, right?
Amari Cooper and CD is not more talented than Amon-Ra and Jamison Wood. Come on, y'all gassing it. Y'all are gassing it. Y'all are gassing it.
That's equal though, because Amon-Ra was the 3rd best receiver last year, right?
That's cool.
CD in his rookie year was not making the plays that Jameson.
So don't bring up Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams had like 200-something yards last year.
No.
So don't bring him into the conversation at all.
What I'm saying, guys, is even and Kyrell, as Cowboy fans, even if you say CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are comparable to what they have, we still didn't have the running backs and we still didn't have the wide receivers and the tight end.
You didn't, but you had better running backs. Because you had Zeke, Zeke was a top 3 rusher. David Montgomery.
At the time, we had what you had. You got to remember, guys, we had a fledgling offense, and we had to trade for Amari Cooper just to get our offense on track.
Just to get a receiver. And then CD, in that 1 year, his rookie year, that's the 1 year they played together. That year, CD was not great. He was riddled with drops. This team that the Lions have right now, Jameson Crowder, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tim Patrick at your 3rd slot, Laporta at tight end, 2 top 10 running backs. David Montgomery is a top 10 running back in this league.
But you saying it based off of what? Because it ain't based off production.
What is that? For what?
Well, because they split a backfield.
That David Montgomery is a top 10 back. He's never been a top 10 back in this league. Never. At no point.
No.
And you're going Jahmyr Gibbs off talent.
No. I'm going off production. That's all I'm talking about because when you talk about style and running back and who you like, that's subjective. But if you look at production,
and he's not more productive than Zeke. That's what I'm saying.
No. I'm saying if you take them together, both of them together, right? As a tandem, we've never had that. Because when we got Pollard, this is what I'm saying. When we got Pollard, Zeke was so far past his prime, right? That when he spelled Zeke, many people thought it was an upgrade over Zeke.
David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs last year, 1,900 yards. Zeke in 2019 went for 1,357, and Pollard went for 445. They both running for 1,900 yards. The Cowboys rushed for more yards than the Detroit Lions did last year. The Cowboys threw for more yards than the Detroit Lions did last year.
Hey, Jalen, I get what you.
Michael Gallup was a 1,000-yard receiver. Amari Cooper was a 1,000-yard receiver.
You can bring up the numbers from last year, but the fact is
that's the only year they've been together. I can only bring up last year. They've only been together last year.
This year.
This year has been 3. It's been 4 games.
Jalen went back 3 years to capture.
I said, when did it start? I went to 2019. Y'all said, what years was it? I went to 2019.
But you know the next year they weren't as productive.
I said, all I asked was 1 year.
I'm saying
Detroit's only been together 1 year.
No.
They've only been together 1 year. I just said pick a year. And that's not even Dak's best year. That's just 2019.
Jalen, so Zeke.
He went back to one of Zeke's most productive years.
No. This is the tail end of Zeke. This is 2019. Zeke's productive years.
If we had
it's 2016, 2017, 2018. That's
if we had 2019 Zeke, he'd be starting right now.
Obviously.
I need your opinion though, Jalen. Right?
Okay, go ahead.
2019 Zeke, right? That's the year before. That's the year before his official decline, right?
Yeah, this is probably his last good year.
So that's his first year with Tony Pollard, I believe, as well.
Probably.
So you'd rather have that version of Zeke, right? And that Tony Pollard over this Detroit backfield that you see today.
So you trying to get me off talent? You just told me that they were more productive. No, y'all just told me they were more productive.
No,
Zeke, I just gave you the stats. Zeke and Tony Pollard ran for the same amount of yards last year.
Let's go. What did Jahmyr Gibbs?
I'm talking about talent.
What did Jahmyr Gibbs have as a rookie last year?
900 yards. 900 yards. That's what Jahmyr Gibbs had as a rookie last year.
David Montgomery?
1,000. That was his best year in the NFL. 1,000 yards.
So you're okay. So you're telling me that now you're doing some. I know you didn't go to HBCU, so I know that PWI math may be kind of different over in North Texas. But by my count, 13 and 400 at the very max is close to 1,800 yards, right?
Yeah, 357 and 455.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what you clearly have there is 1,900 yards. Right?
Okay, and they played more games.
Who played more games?
Jahmyr Gibbs played the entire season. I think Tony Pollard missed a game. Well, never mind, because David Montgomery missed a game too. So they played the same amount of games. Detroit still rushed for less yards than Dallas did.
Now,
Detroit still.
What I'm saying is, and I'm simply telling you, in that particular year, Tony Pollard was a rookie, correct?
Rookie, yeah, only 86 carries.
Yeah, I'm saying this is the second year that Jahmyr Gibbs, it's conceivable that he's a better player now than he was his rookie year, correct?
Yeah.
And he's still on the Detroit Lions, correct?
He is.
It's conceivable that, no, we're not trying to say that David Montgomery is anywhere near what Zeke was.
Yeah.
Right? But we can say that he probably is as productive as 2020 Zeke is or 2021 Zeke was. Can you say that?
Not. I wouldn't say that about. I'm looking at 2019. I still haven't even went to 2020.
No. What
I'm looking at the 2019 season.
What?
Because that's when they started with Kellen Moore.
In 2020, 2021, what you saw last night from David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would say is a declining running back?
No.
That's all I'm saying, bro.
No, he's not declining.
He's in his prime.
He is.
Zeke was no longer in his prime.
But that was like Zeke's fourth year in the league, though. We know it's not his prime looking back on it. Back then, we're not going to say, yeah, Zeke's out of his prime. He's 26.
What I'm saying is it's not his prime, and it wasn't nowhere near Pollard's prime. It was his rookie year.
It wasn't.
What?
I'm saying it wasn't his prime. I'm agreeing with you. It wasn't Pollard's prime.
So what I'm saying is what Jared Goff has now, right, in a full complement of running backs, tight end, wide receiver. That's what I'm saying is Zeke that Dak has never had. That's what I'm saying.
But that's what you prefer. I'm looking at the numbers. It's the same thing. This is the same thing. Zeke, Amon-Ra had 1,500 yards. His next best receiver is 800. After that was Sam Laporta. Dak had 2,000-yard receivers, and Randall Cobb caught for like 800 as well. 828 that year as well. I'm saying these are the same type of teams. This is the same type of talent, same type of teams. One's been to the NFC. Whoa, what?
No, you right about the numbers, but I want your opinion on these players, right? At this moment,
but we can't do that because you're going off hindsight. We know exactly what everybody on the Cowboys turned out to be. You finna give me potential because you're gonna talk about guys like Jameson Williams, who has played.
Where does he rank as a receiver right now for you in the league?
He's not top 30. What are you talking about?
He's not top 30.
Kyrell, has he had 500 yards in an NFL season yet? See, you just going off because he looked fast.
No. I'm going off of how he looked this year. The only reason he didn't have them yards last year is because it was his first year in the league.
He had 2 catches last night. Where am I supposed to put him? He had 2 catches.
That's his spot though, and that's what he's done week in, week out. Low volume of catches, big plays. That's who he's gonna be. He's gonna be a top 10, top 15 receiver this year. Easily. He wasn't acclimated last year.
I don't see him being a top 10 receiver.
Okay.
I definitely don't see him being a top 10 receiver.
Well, I don't. So I think this is just my opinion. I think the issue is that when you look at the two quarterbacks, right, and you look at the complement of talent that they're surrounded by, I don't know. This is just my opinion. My opinion is that Dak has never had the complement of talent that Jared Goff has now. That's all I'm saying. Has now. And, let's be Pro Football Focus has the Detroit Lions as the number one offensive line by a big gap. Like they're the number one offensive line by a huge gap. So these
Dak
are
has had that
perfect
too.
Conditions for which my man is working under, right? And
I
he's
agree.
doing a great. Don't get me wrong, 18 for 18, 290 yards. He had completions of 70, 39, 29, 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he spread the ball around when you think about it. So it was a tremendous game. My only point is you can't look at that game and say, "Oh, that's who Jared Goff is." Because
No. I don't believe that either. I don't think that he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. I'm just saying when given those certain when he's given these great conditions, like you said, I was agreeing with that part. He can be a world beater. When not, he's just Jared Goff. I was just going back to the point that Kyrell made about him and Dak being the same person, and then you saying Dak is way better. I'm saying they've had very similar.
I didn't say Dak is
not way better. You didn't say that.
I
you didn't
said
say
Dak. Okay, so let me further dive in just for a moment here.
No, go ahead.
Arm talent, they are in two different worlds from an arm talent standpoint. But when you talk about the position of quarterback, sheer quarterback, what Dak brings to the table and has for the most part of his career is Dak is a playmaker. He's shown the ability to be a playmaker, to operate. You say it's just mobility. I'm not going to say it's mobility. I'm saying that even when Dak is pressured, he can figure out a way to move the ball. I'm saying this with Jared Goff, and Kyrell, correct me if I'm wrong. When he's under duress, he's largely ineffective as a quarterback.
Oh yeah, he's a statue of liberty.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Dak is, they both have things they're better than each other at. And I'm not taking that away. I think that
Goff throws a beautiful ball.
Yeah.
It's down the field.
That's how he got drafted number 1.
Huh?
That's how he got drafted number 1. Even though I think he shouldn't have been number 1 that year, but that's how he got drafted number 1.
And guess what? If they play football inside a dome, if they play football in perfect conditions, if he's playing a defensive line where the 2 best pass rushers don't play, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what Jared Goff can do to you in the NFL.
Yeah.
But the problem is when the games really matter, you're largely going to have a defense that's going to put pressure on you. You're largely going to have defensive backs that you're going to have to be precise, and you're not going to get a chance to go to your first, second, and third wide receiver, third option. And in those situations, Jared Goff can be very benevolent.
Yeah, no, definitely. But like to the point about him and Dak, he still has performed better than Dak in the playoffs before. I'm not going to keep going on Jared Goff and Dak, but he has outperformed Dak in the playoffs
but I'd like
tremendously.
To watch your mouth when you're comparing him to Dak. That's all I'm saying.
Tremendously. 3 games he played last year in the playoffs, 837 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Dak has no postseasons like that and has played more postseason games than Jared Goff.
Absolutely.
So, to our point about the Lions, do we have this team now that they're back in the win column, they lost against the Bucs, do we have this team as a top 3 team still in the NFC? Because coming into the season, I definitely had them as a top 3 team, if not, right up there to be the best team, depending on where you put the 49ers in the NFC. So where do we have them after getting back in the win column last night in a good performance? They're 3-1 now, second in the NFC North because of the Vikings that we'll talk about a little later. I'll let you go ahead and start with that.
Let me say, I don't know where they are. And I'll depend on you guys to kind of evaluate where they are because I have no idea. I have no real true feeling for where they are. But this is what I do know. Kenneth Walker ran the ball 12 times, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns. I do know Geno Smith passed the ball for 383 yards.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 1 pick. That's what I do know. And I do know that a defense that's headed to the Super Bowl, I don't believe will let that happen.
Absolutely
I think
right.
Super Bowl contending defense wouldn't let that happen.
You're absolutely right about that point. They wouldn't. And then the problem with the NFC, to your point, is when the NFC hasn't done that. That's the problem with the NFC, is there's nobody that has stood out above the crowd in the NFC right now to say we're the ones that are not going to do that. I think there are a couple teams out there that if you assess how they've played the game, mm-hmm.
break them down, you'll come to the conclusion that the top teams, and this is just based on what I've seen.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Minnesota.
Yeah.
I know people don't want to accept that because
especially the Minnesota one.
yeah. I know people don't want to accept that. But based on what they've put on the field this year, take away all the historical data you can or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think at this point Detroit is in a situation where they can compete with those teams at this point if they had to. Later on in the season, maybe so. But if you give up almost 400 yards to Geno, how many does Sam Laporta and not Sam Laporta, how many does
Sam
Darnold and Justin Jefferson get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. And that defense is, and that's been my reason of why I've not been sold on the Lions and I like the Lions, but I didn't see them winning the Super Bowl last year. I don't see them getting to a Super Bowl this year because of their defense, man. It's just and I like the players that they've added. Like Kyrell said earlier, they're tough. They got a tough-nosed defense. But outside of Aiden Hutchinson, who's leading the league in sacks, nobody scares me on the Detroit Lions defense. Jack Campbell's a good player. Arnold that they just drafted from Alabama is a good player. Brian Branch from Alabama, he's a good player. Carlton Davis, that's debatable because he was getting torched last night by DK. But he's a good player. But nobody scares me outside of Aiden Hutchinson, and that's why it's hard for me to put him there. But I do think they're a top 3 team right now. Kyrell, what do you think about this Detroit Lions before we get off of them? Or do you think they're a top 3 team in this conference?
Top 3, yeah. Yeah. I definitely think they have the best offense.
Yeah.
So I guess that will put them in consideration. And then also, man, I don't know who's good. We have to say Minnesota at this point just because of the way what they put on tape.
Yeah.
But I do not know who's good, man. Like I feel like I know he turns the ball over a lot, but I also feel like Philly could possibly turn it around, start figuring some things out once they get healthy. Atlanta and New Orleans. New Orleans just lost 2 straight, So it's like I have no idea who's who. Yeah, all I know is that, hey, Detroit got a pretty good offense. And that's about it. I just recognize talent. No other team has been able to state like, okay, we have a defense or we have an offense. That's it. It's only Minnesota has identified they have a defense and a beautiful ball thrower, Sam Darnold. And then that's it. And then the Lions, hey, we have an offense. But outside of that, no team has made this stamp their put their flag down as like, oh, we're this. We have an identity. Everybody's still kind of floating around. So I would give them that top 3 team. It don't mean nothing right now, but yeah, you can have that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything right now. And Detroit, they've got y'all's Dallas Cowboys next, so we'll really see if this is if this stays course. They got the Vikings right after that too, who we just said are one of the better teams in the NFC. So and then the Packers after that. So they got 3 of the top teams in the NFC coming up next. So we'll get a better look at this Detroit team over these next few weeks, or do we think they're for real? Go ahead.
You saying we a top 3 team?
I didn't say top 3. I just said top team.
Top team, okay.
Top team in the NFC. I'll still put the Cowboys as a top team.
Okay.
I'm still putting, because I don't believe in anybody in the NFC outside of the 49ers, to be honest. If the 49ers get healthy, they're really honestly the only team in the NFC I think can do anything. I think anybody that comes out this NFC is getting absolutely smacked right now by whoever comes out the AFC outside of the 49ers because we know what they can do when they get healthy. But honestly, I'm just down on the NFC. It's not much of a good Cowboys as it is. Everyone in the NFC looks the exact same to me right now. It's a bunch of mid. It's a whole bunch of mid in there, and San Francisco has the potential to be a little bit better than mid. But right now, it's a whole bunch of mid going on in the NFC, and the Detroit Lions seem to be slightly, very slightly above mid. So I'll give the Detroit Lions, like I said, a top 3 team in the NFC. But that was the Lions getting the win last night. Well, we kind of talked about the Dolphins and Titans game, but I don't want to use any time on that. Don't think we got any Titans or Dolphins fans on here after what we saw the last couple weeks from them. I do want to talk about the AFC, though. The Sunday night game, Baltimore got the Bills, who last week I did my top 5 with Wayne Walker was on here with me, did my top 5. I had Buffalo number 1. I had Buffalo number 1 over the Kansas City Chiefs because I like the product that the Buffalo Bills have put on the field as opposed to the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they were both undefeated at the time. In Baltimore, they brought Buffalo into town, man, and they took care of business in a huge way. Baltimore Ravens took on the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, and they smacked them. I mean, it's just that simple from start to finish. Baltimore was in full control of this game, 35-10 final score as Buffalo dropped their first game of the season. Lamar Jackson, 156 yards, 13 for 18, 2 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry is still King Henry, as we figured out. Everybody was wondering, did he still have some in the tank? I even questioned it after the first couple weeks of the season, but that question has been answered. 150 yards against the Cowboys last week, and then this week you top it off with 199 yards and a touchdown. First play from scrimmage for the Ravens, 87-yard touchdown by Derrick Henry, the longest play in Baltimore Ravens history as far as a run play, longest run play in Baltimore Ravens history. First play of the game, and that set the tone from there. Now, I still have question marks about this Baltimore offense, but they have shown me that if they dedicate themselves to the run game, man, it's going to be tough for anybody in the NFL to be able to stop this team if they really dedicate themselves to the run game like they've done over the last couple of weeks. Lamar Jackson chimed in with 54 rushing yards as well and a touchdown. The part that I don't like and the question marks is the receiving game. Both the top 2 receivers in the game were both the running backs. Derrick Henry had 3 catches and Justice Hill had 6 catches for 78 yards. Now, I understand about taking what the defense gives you, but I do have questions about that. On the Buffalo Bills side, Josh Allen, 16 for 29, never got in a rhythm, 180 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. James Cook finally stopped being Superman for this offense, 9 carries, 39 yards, no touchdowns. Khalil Shakir, it's showing these problems of, in the offseason, y'all, we saw Buffalo get rid of both of their top pass catchers in Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. And the questions we had coming into the season was, what would Josh Allen do without these top picks or without these top pass catchers? And it looked good in the first 3 weeks, honestly. Looked like everything was rolling, but when you play a stout defense like Baltimore, now we see they don't really have a true number 1. Khalil Shakir is a decent receiver, but he's not a true number 1. Keon Coleman's still young, still kind of a raw talent, very athletic, but he's not a number 1 yet. Dalton Kincaid's not a number 1 at the tight end spot. So this team needs a number 1 receiver, and it's starting to show. So I want to get you guys takeaways from this game. Baltimore getting the dub over Buffalo 35-10. Rocky, I'll go ahead and start with you, man. What were your thoughts about this game?
So I want to go back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You putting Baltimore as top team.
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo, excuse me. Yeah. Buffalo top. They beat the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. They beat the Dolphins. And they beat the Jaguars.
It was how they did.
I understand. Again, let me name those teams again. Let me name those teams. They beat the Cardinals. They beat the Dolphins. And they beat the Jaguars. Are any of those teams going to be around when the leaves turn brown?
They might be 1, 2, 3 in the draft. So in the NFL,
and this is what I say in the NFL. And I'm not an expert handicapper. Don't get me wrong. But I've been handicapping games and giving it a try for a long time. In the NFL, it's largely who you played and how you looked when you played them, right? When I say who you played, it's about where these teams project ultimately, what kind of defenses they have, what kind of offense they have. Well, we know what the Cardinals have. We know what the Dolphins have. And we know what the Jaguars don't have. So this was gonna be their first test of a team that could possibly be in the playoffs. And they failed miserably. Miserably. My thing, I think Buffalo is a good team, right? But based on who they played, you cannot elevate them above Kansas City. You can't elevate them, in my opinion, above a team like Baltimore. You can't, based on who they played. Yeah. When you think about it, you know, because everybody's bagging on how the Chiefs played and how the Chiefs looked. But look who the Chiefs played. Like, at the end of the day, you play Baltimore, you're not going to look good. Yeah. I don't care even if you win. You're not going to look good because they're going to give you the blues. Yeah. You know, they're a physical, tough team. They're going to run the ball. They're going to attempt to run it down your throat, so on and so forth. So, again, when you look at the AFC, I have to start with the Chiefs, right? They're defending two-time Super Bowl champs. They have a way of just getting it done when it matters, right? Next team I got to go with is Baltimore. There's no other team I can say that is good in every particular situation other than Baltimore. Yep. I think all the teams below Baltimore and Kansas City got flies. You know what I'm saying? They all got flies. But I'm gonna tell you who I think the Bills are on par with, and I think that's gonna tell you what kind of team they are. If they ever get a chance, seeing they're not on their schedule, but I think the Bills are on par with a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Like, that'll tell you what kind of team the Bills are if they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to let them run, and it's going to be all on Josh Allen. Yeah. That tells you what kind of team they are. And then for their defense, right, Pittsburgh is going to go in the game, right, with a very conservative game plan. Can you stop them from doing what they want to do? Can you make Justin Fields, can you make Justin Fields go out and win the game? Yep. Can you do that on defense? And so that was all these other teams that they the Bills, they're going to pay the Chiefs down the road. Nobody else, I don't think, is going to give them a test, man, about whether or not they are ready. Because they I don't think the Jets is going to give them much of a test. Now, this game they have next week. Yeah, that's what I was going to chime in and say. But again, because it's in Texas, right? Because it's in Houston. Yep. I don't think you get a fully understanding of what it's going to be in the playoff game. Because guess what? The weather's going to be beautiful. Yeah. There's not going to be much wind. Not at all. And you're going to get a chance. So it may be a beautiful football game, meaning that there may be a lot of points scored, a lot of big plays, so on and so forth. But when you get in January, that's not how it's going to be. Nope. For C.J. Stroud or for Josh Allen. So I think this game will be fun coming up, but I don't think it can give you a true indication of where either team will be come to playoff time. But I think both teams are playoff teams. I will say that. I think both teams are playoff teams, though.
No, I agree. And the Bills, like I said, I put them there number one last week. And the list is going to change week to week. Like I said last week, I don't want to sound like Stephen A. and say that it's fluid. But the list is going to change from week to week. I just had them 3. If I had to choose out of the 3-0 teams last week, Kansas City, the Bills, and Minnesota. I didn't want to put Minnesota above them yet because it's too early. And Kansas City, yes, they played Baltimore. I felt like they should have lost that game. Outside of that, they haven't played anybody either. So we're going to talk about what the Bills did. The Chiefs played the Bengals and the Falcons. So the Chiefs didn't play anybody either, and they struggled and should have possibly lost in both of those games.
So okay, hold on.
Yeah.
You say the Chiefs. Who did they play?
I said outside of the Ravens, I said they played the Bengals and the Falcons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we don't expect
the Falcons are a good team, bro. The Falcons are a good team. They got a competent quarterback. They have a decent defense.
Mid.
I agree that they're mid, but they're certainly not the Jaguars.
No, they're not.
Certainly not.
They're not.
But
they beat the Jaguars by 40 though. They did what they were supposed to do against the Jaguars.
Style in the NFL, style points don't matter.
It doesn't matter. But stuff coming back to haunt you does matter. And I was just saying that the Chiefs so far have all had wins that look like, and I don't know about this.
Again,
it's a little iffy.
Who had the Chiefs played?
The Ravens. Outside of that,
are they going to be in the playoffs?
Yes.
Next team.
Bengals. No.
Are they going to be in the playoffs?
No.
But do they have a top 10 quarterback?
Yes. That's it.
Okay. Let's go next.
Falcons, no.
They're not going to be in the playoffs?
No.
Oh, they're definitely going to be in the playoffs.
I don't see them being better than Tampa Bay or New Orleans.
That don't matter, but I think so here's the situation. There's only 2 teams that's going to make it from the East, which is probably going to be Dallas and Washington or Philly.
Yeah.
On the other side, it's going to be 2 teams that make it. It's going to be either right now I'm thinking it's going to be Minnesota, Detroit. I don't think Green Bay is going to be in there.
That's
right.
Okay.
And then you got Tampa Bay is going to be there, and Atlanta, and then the other team you're only going to get 1 team out of the West because I think they're going to beat each other up. Because I don't think the Rams are going.
No.
Right? Mm. If the 49ers don't get healthy, they won't make it either.
Hey, well, if I got to bet on the 49ers making the wild card or the Falcons, I'm definitely taking the Niners.
Okay.
Falcons can potentially maybe be a play. I don't have them in the playoffs. I take Washington, Dallas, Philly, Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, San Francisco, and Seattle all before I take.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, that's to be determined. That's to be determined. But on the Baltimore Ravens and Bills side, Kyrell, where do you fall on this? What do you think about Baltimore getting this win in the way they got this win over Buffalo?
Yeah, man. The crown is heavy, man. As soon as we crown the Bills,
knocked out.
Man, so I'm different. You know, I think style points do matter. So that's when I do my power rankings. I look for what have the team show me. What are the ways this team has showed me they can win? And at that moment last week, the Bills had showed me that they can win in multiple fashions. They can come from behind, they can run the ball, and then obviously.
So it doesn't matter who they played.
No, it does. It does matter. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals aren't horrible, right? We're not gonna say they're a top. You know, they're probably a 500 team right now.
Yeah.
They were down 17. And they were down.
They're
17
1-3, but okay.
I mean, 1-3 is
and the Dolphins weren't terrible either. The Dolphins are terrible now.
The Dolphins weren't terrible. They had a 2-touchdown lead before Tua went down. You know, so that was a blowout that was unfortunate. And then you blow out the Jaguars, the team you're supposed to blow out. Okay, I'm looking at that. So the Bills are up top, but at this point, see, the Ravens don't scare me, man. Like,
you tripping?
I see them as a team that can only win one way.
Okay, but who can? Okay, I agree with you, Kyrell. I don't agree with you, but who has the wherewithal? Who plays with enough force to make them play another way?
That's true. Can you get them out there? Can you get them out of short yardage so they have to throw the ball?
You know, I go back to the AFC Championship game, right?
Right.
There was no reason for them to, even though they were down by 10 points at one point, for them to completely abandon
that didn't make
their game plan. Didn't make any sense to me.
No,
because they were still in the game, and in all actuality, if you really look at that game, they should have won the game.
Oh, for sure.
They should have won the game. So even with that, even with that being said, and this is how I look at the NFL. This is kind of how I handicap it. Even if that was a regular season game, it's a loss on your record. But when you go to the next game, you have to say, okay, this team is just as good as I thought they were. And against the next opponent, they probably won't have 2 or 3 interceptions. They probably won't, have special teams blunders. You understand what I'm saying? They'll probably make those field goals. Zay Flowers won't fumble going into the end zone. And that's how you have to look at the game. If you just look at the score of the game, then I think you're selling yourself short and not looking at how the teams played and, importantly, who they played.
I think, you see, the thing is, if this early in the season, when you're talking about who somebody plays, these teams are going off. When you go these first 2-3 weeks, they're using film from last year, to analyze these teams.
Absolutely.
NFL is a week-to-week situation. So if you do something, it's hard, right? So you play the Cardinals and you're down by 17, unfortunately, but you fight back and win that game. You blow out who you're supposed to, and you really were going to blow out the Dolphins regardless of who played quarterback on that day.
Yep.
And then on the other end, the Ravens, that's great for the regular season. What are they going to do when they're down 10 again, when they're down 14 again? I've seen Lamar Jackson's been throwing the ball 15 to 18 times. Like, come on, man, this is the NFL. Like, I don't think that's going to cut it. Like, it's nice to watch right now, Derrick Henry having to rejuvenate. And I wanted to talk about, Zeke's decline, too, because all these athletes, the Kamaras, the Henrys that are looking good right now, they older than Zeke by a couple months. So, I think Zeke is a special case as far as, showing people how to decline.
No, well, I think you're looking at Zeke age as is that they're comparable in age, but I think in usage, Zeke aged far faster than they did. You got to understand, Kamara was a part-time running back early in his career, and so was Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? When you talk about
a year?
What is that?
Yeah, that was only a year.
What is that? Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
No, he was 2 years.
2 years of sitting behind DeMarco.
Yeah. He didn't start getting carries until his third year. Mm-hmm. And Kamara, I think he
definitely split time.
Split time his first 3 to 4 years. Some would say he was splitting time all the way up to about a couple years ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah. He was. He was.
Again, and I think Zeke, when you talk about usage, he's a much older running back than his age. That's all I'm saying. When you talk about, because I think that's the deal with running backs nowadays. It's not how old you are by age. It's how many carries you have on your back. It's the same thing with DeMarco Murray, When we had him when he became the featured running back, we gave it to him a couple years, 400 times. By the time he got to the Titans, not to mention all those carries he had at Oklahoma,
man,
Yeah,
I think
usage matters.
No, it definitely caught up to him, and we're seeing that with Zeke. But Zeke is just, his drop off is something to be studied because I didn't see it coming as fast as it did, like you said, with the carries. But that would make sense for now. He fell off at like 26, and I don't get that with Zeke. But go ahead and finish your point, Kyrie, before we go to break real quick.
Yeah, man. So I'm still high on the Bills. I think that they're going to be a team that is not going to be beatable at home. I think they're probably. I spoke on that a little bit before I picked the Bills about how strong they were going to be at home and how nervous I was to see them on the road against a good team. So I wasn't surprised by the Ravens result, but I will have to adjust my power rankings because it was the style points in that game was so loud that I have to drop them down. Like, I don't know if I drop Buffalo if that's a close game and they lose. I really don't, because I'm so convinced that the Ravens are going to struggle if they don't find other ways to win games besides the ground and pound that they've been doing. Chiefs, I'll put the Ravens ahead of it because of the blowout. I'm still going Chiefs, Ravens, Bills for my NFL power rankings with Minnesota coming in fourth. So I'm still going 3 straight AFC teams.
Yeah, I'm going AFC heavy too, and we'll talk about that more in hour number 2 coming up, folks. We're going to take a short break. Before we come back, in hour number 2, we got these top 5 NFL teams. You just heard us talking about it. I'm going to give my top 5, and I'll let the fellas do their top 5 as well for NFL power rankings. Also, we'll talk about Colorado getting a big win in hour number 2. We'll talk about Jalen Milroe and what did he prove against the Georgia Bulldogs last weekend as well. So stay right here, folks. Stay locked into Centex Primetime. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Centex Sports Network, and Centex Sports TV. Also, make sure you download the app to be able to listen to this from wherever you're at. 94 on CentexSports1.com and the app Centex Sports 1 on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. You're watching Centex Primetime. We're going to be right back after this short break.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blasian Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blasian Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
The East Waco Empowerment Project, along with City Center Waco, is hosting WeBo, Workshop and Business Opportunities, to help create more entrepreneurs. Business owners like Aniceto Charles of True Jamaica Restaurant and Carla Dotson of Boardwalk on Elm attended WeBo to develop their business ideas into successful Black-owned businesses right in the heart of East Waco. WeBo can also help you turn your side hustle or business idea into the next thriving Black-owned business in our community. If you would like to attend this 10-week intense entrepreneurial workshop, go to WeBoWaco.org. That's WIBO Waco.org. Space.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's a sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie, 719 South 11th Street. Free installation.
This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Hello and welcome back into Centex Prime Time. Live here in hour number 2 as we bring you the primetime topics in sports, not only in the Central Texas area, but all over the nation, as we just got done talking about in hour number 1, some NFL top 5s, and who do we have in those lists. I'm here in studio joined with Rocky Miller. Also calling in with us today, I've got Kyrell Gibson as well. And folks, like I said, in hour number 1, We talked a little bit about our NFL top 5 picks and who do we have there. But we're going to wait just a little bit before we get to that. We're going to jump into a couple quick takes, and we're going to come back and round it off with our top 5s in the NFL. So, over the weekend, we saw the game of the week in the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. One of the best games that I got a chance to tune in slightly to. But before I talk about that game, I got to talk about the game that I was at and why I couldn't fully watch this Georgia and this Alabama game. Also, the game of the weekend. Just go back and check the stats if you don't believe us there. And that is Prairie View A&M and Grambling State matching up in the State Fair Classic. Man, this was a great game to go to. The atmosphere was great. Now, it's a little different at HBCU culture, as Rocky will be able to attest to more than I can. And we'll talk about the show that he's going to be doing later tonight as well. It's going to be packed at certain points in the game, and at certain points in the game, it's going to be a little politicking and parking lot pimping going on in the outside, especially at a big game like the State Fair Classic that we got to go to. But it was a great game, man, great atmosphere. Prairie View A&M pulled out the game in 5 overtime.
Quintuple overtime. I think that's right.
Because I was trying to think of the word to say, and I was like, no, I better not say nothing wrong. And yes, you're right, a quintuple overtime game that we saw. 5 overtime game, man. This, like I said, folks, this was a great game to be able to go to. Prairie View pulled this one out. It was back and forth, especially in that second half. Both of these teams were really just throwing haymakers all the way down to the end of the game. So being able to be there, being able to support Prairie View. You see I got my Prairie View hat on with me today. You see Rocky's got his PV hat on with him as well. And we're rocking the winning team for Prairie View as they were able to come out there and get a dub.
It's the only team for me. Whether they won or lost, I was going to come in here rocking.
Yeah. No, facts. And, like I said, they got a win over a Grambling State team that was rolling. They were rolling coming into this game.
Yeah, they're coming off a bit. The Grambling State was coming off a huge win over Jackson State.
Yeah.
That was Prime's old team, and they, and they came off a huge win. And so what ended up happening is they came into this game, and to be honest with you, got off to a great start.
Yeah.
Against Prairie View. They went in at halftime up by 10.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they didn't run the football in the second half, and Prairie View scrapped and clawed their way back into the game and actually went up by 7.
Yeah.
Before they gave up a touchdown late in the game to Grambling. Grambling tied it up, sent it in overtime. And then we had Staines field goals over 2 different overtimes, and then they went into the 2-point conversions, kind of like you get a chance, I get a chance, you get a chance, I get a chance. And PV, stopped them in the 5th time, and then they actually had a wide open wide receiver that got a call to pass interference in the end zone, and then they got a 1.5 yard line. And they did the simple thing, what I thought they probably should have done the first 2 times. They just run the dang ball.
Yeah.
And so it was a great game. But I'd like to talk about the atmosphere too, if we could.
Mm-hmm.
When you see that many people, that many of our people, and if you know what our people means, that's what it means, our people. That many people having a great time, having a tremendous experience.
Yeah.
No safety issues, no nothing, man.
Yeah.
It's just a fantastic atmosphere. They're playing music that we're familiar with, singing songs that we're familiar with, the band playing songs that we know. I was sitting up here talking to my business partner, your father, Roy, as they were going through singing the national anthem with, the choir directed by Dietrich Haddon put a little sauce.
Yeah, they
sauce
did.
on the national anthem. So some sauce I ain't never heard before.
Yeah,
put on the national anthem, and then of course I forget that my wife know the lady's name is
Charisma Asma, out of Dallas. Yeah,
Charisma sung what I think is the Black national anthem. After she sung it, I don't know what it is, but she really she didn't put a little sauce on it. she recooked it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know.
No,
lift up your voice.
It was about a 10-minute rendition.
Yeah. She recooked it. You know what I mean? It was a tremendous performance by her, and my wife had this idea that she was getting fed the words in her ear, so that's why she was holding those notes like that, so she get the words fed. Now, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah,
but y'all singers, probably. My wife's a singer as well, and so she said, I think she's getting those words fed in her ear. That's why she's taking so long on each note. But no, it was a tremendous experience, man.
Yeah.
There was tremendous hospitality up in the press box. We got a chance to, thanks to ALW Entertainment, Al Wash, the guy who's put on the State Fair Classic for 49 consecutive years.
Amazing.
He invited us down to the Jack Daniels suite. We went down there and had a tremendous time in the Jack Daniels suite. And that's actually where we watched both band performances. Sensational performance, a good performance for Prairie View, but a sensational performance.
That's what I was getting to next, man. Grambling put on a show at halftime. If they lost the game, they didn't lose that battle of the bands, and that hurts me to say with my Prairie View hat on. But hey, man, Grambling did their thing. I can't hate on them for what they came out there and did at halftime. For sure did their thing out there.
Yeah. Again, here's, I don't know if it's a frustrating thing. I guess it's just different than other games I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you probably remember what I'm talking about. So the game is tight, going and down. The Grambling driving the ball down the field, and all of a sudden say, "Hey, listen up! In the tunnel, we have Rick Ross walking down." Like, you get the point that we're in the middle of almost a nightclub watching a very competitive game. And they were still doing celebrity shout-outs and stuff like that right in a really tense part of the game. Bro, I was like,
I was sitting out there. Yeah, I was in the Jack Daniels suite. I got a chance to sit out there. I was with both my brothers and my wife were out there. And the section where the party/concert was the section next to mine. I mean, we're watching the game, and at one point, it's actual performances happening from multiple up-and-coming Dallas rappers, I guess I could say, because Rick Ross had been left. He did his thing, said a couple, and he got up out of there, and he left. And at one point, it's about 5 or 6 up-and-coming rappers perform. I'm like, hey, man, I know, I understand, I love us, but sometimes, hey, let's cool it, y'all. We at the game. I'm trying to watch the game. It's 3rd and 5. I'm trying to see what's going on.
That's the one thing that you have to realize is that in the HBCU space, there's the game going on in the middle of a party.
Yep. Facts. That was the perfect way to describe what happened on Saturday.
Going on in the middle of a party. People have their outfits. Like, you won't see, there's no face paint going on.
Oh, no.
There's no shirtless, fans going crazy. You know what I mean? There's none of that going on out there.
No.
It's a different atmosphere, but yet it's still, man, I think it's an atmosphere that anybody can enjoy, especially anybody who understands or appreciates our culture, man, because it is all about us. Everything in the stadium, everything that goes on is something that we're familiar with, from the turkey legs to the, you know what I mean? It's just, it's just a great experience, man. If you guys hadn't had a chance to go to a HBCU football game, the next big game close to us is the Prairie View Homecoming.
Yep.
The Prairie View Homecoming is the next big game. So if you want to go have an HBCU experience at a big game, go to the Prairie View Homecoming. I think it's October the 29th. Let me look. Anyway, it's a great experience, man.
26th.
26th.
A&M Commerce. Yeah.
Yeah, they play. They play A&M Commerce. It would take it up a notch if they were playing another HBCU.
Yeah.
But it'll still be a great time.
Yeah.
Even playing A&M and Commerce, there'll be few more other people enjoying in the festivities than normal. But I think that'll even make for a great event.
Definitely.
If you ask me.
Definitely. And like we said, great weekend that we got to have out there at the State Fair. Rocky, tell them a little bit about what they can expect to see tonight on HBCU Coaches Corner. Coming
tonight,
up at 8 p.m.
Make sure y'all guys tune in tonight at 8 o'clock, where me, Coach Campbell, and and the Rattler himself, Steve Campbell, will be on, and we'll go over the games that happened this weekend and how the SWAC and MEAC is shaping up. We'll also break down the games that are coming up next week, and we have some really big games coming up next week. You definitely want to tune in and get Coach Cole's analysis of what he saw this weekend and what do we have coming up. What can we expect in this upcoming weekend? We had a great, we have this show each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. until I would usually say 8 p.m. to around 9, but it's until because it can get, after we go through breaking down of the games, we could probably have 20 callers call in and talk smack, and so it could get kind of long sometimes. But yeah, man, tune in. You can catch us on. Of course, you can catch us on 94.5 HD 2 and YouTube on Rocky Miller, and make sure you like and subscribe when you go over there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So don't miss that. That's tonight at 8 o'clock. Following this show, we'll give you a break. Go get you a snack in. Go get your dinner, your supper, however you like to say it, and get back over here, man, so you can tune in to HBCU Coach's Corner. So, fellas, the other game that I previewed a little bit that we started talking about, Alabama versus Georgia. This was a game that lived up, honestly, to all of the hype. It started out, Rocky. It started out like, they didn't know what to do. It looked like Alabama was going to be a blowout, especially at home with that Crimson Tide crowd behind them. It looked ugly out there, but Georgia started to fight back in this game. Their offense started getting it going. Carson Beck into the game with 439 yards. Wasn't enough for them as they ended up taking the lead in the fourth quarter after scoring 19 straight points in the fourth. Alabama was able to come back after an amazing play made by the sensational freshman Ryan Williams, who's 17 years old, out here doing this to grown men. It's really crazy to watch. And Alabama ends up coming out with the win 41-34. Now, there's multiple parts to this. For one, Alabama comes out with the win. Georgia falls once again to Alabama. It seems like every time there's a big game, a really big game between these two, Alabama comes out on top in those games. This was Carson Beck's, he was the AP first team preseason All-American. And this is really his first test getting to go. He's never been to Tuscaloosa before to play any of these games against Alabama. So he goes out there. He starts off very shaky. He ends up throwing for 439 yards, but he started that out with 3 picks. Now, the other side of this that I want to talk about in Alabama Crimson Tide, outside of their sensational freshman in Ryan Williams, who really just can't get enough praise after the type of game he just had in the season he's been having, to see that he's only 17 years old is actually ridiculous. But Jalen Milroe, I talked about this a little bit yesterday on the show, fellas, before you guys came on here. This guy, I remember what everyone was saying about this guy last year. They almost bullied Nick Saban into benching him, even though it had only been a couple games, and he knew he didn't have a. Yeah, they bullied. That's what I'm saying. They pretty much bullied Saban into doing that, and they benched him, even though he knew he didn't have a better guy at the backup spot. They said that he wasn't a pro prospect. He's not this and he's not that. He started the game. I don't think he had an incompletion until the second half. He ended the game 27 for 33, 374 yards, 2 touchdowns. Added on to that was 16 carries, 117 yards, and 2 touchdowns rushing as well. Obviously, he's put himself into this Heisman contention. But when are we going to start talking about this guy as a draft prospect? We talk about all these other guys as draft prospects, Shador, the Carson Becks, the Cam Ward. And if this had been Mitch Trubisky had ever had any game close to this, they still picked him number 1 over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. This had been Drake May from last year that had a game like this. He still was a top 3 pick. When are we going to start putting Jalen Milroe on these draft boards? When are we going to start seeing him as an NFL prospect? I think the leap that he's making with the new coach there, who's been a quarterback guru at every stop he's been at, including his latest being Michael Penix there at Washington, and the leaps that he's taken in this offense with this new with this new coaching regime has been great to see so far. Now, I know it's still early in the season, but he's not going to face a defense just way better than this Georgia Bulldog defense, and he torched them. He absolutely torched them from start to finish in this game. Jalen Milroe's been playing sensational all year long. And like I said, obviously, I think he's moved himself into that Heisman contention. Now, I've already stated how I felt about Travis Hunter winning the Heisman, and we'll talk about them after this. I think they should drop it off at Travis Hunter's house already. But he's put himself in that Heisman contention. But it's time to start talking about this dude as a draft prospect. Should he be the number 1 overall pick? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that far. But he's got to be talked about in the same light. I mean, we've looked at Carson Beck, who's been considered the first QB off the board since before the season started. And Carson Beck has never done anything spectacular in his career, to me. You couple this with what Jalen Milroe was able to do to the Bulldogs last year in the SEC championship game. I mean, this dude can ball. He's proven that he's a baller, and he's really honestly getting better before our eyes week in and week out. So, want to get you guys' thoughts about the game, Alabama versus Georgia, and then Jalen Milroe as a prospect. Kyrell, I'll go ahead and start with you, man. What do you think about this Georgia-Alabama game, and then what do you think about Jalen Milroe and his performance as well?
Yeah, man. To me, man, okay, I know Georgia probably isn't at their height of their powers as they've been these last couple of years, but that was the combine. So you gotta put them on the draft board now.
Yeah.
That was the below Winn-Dixie line NFL combine. Like, I don't even know if I said that right, but
Mason Dixon.
Jalen Milroe. Oh, Mason Dixon, right. Winn-Dixie. Yeah, shout out my third grade teacher, Mr. Bourne, man. Anyways, yeah, so there was no better stage for Jalen Milroe to play like that on. For me, I've even seen some recent mock drafts that came out on Monday, the Monday after the game, this Monday, that have him as a first-round pick all of a sudden. And it's because, okay, that is either NFL talent or potential NFL talent at Georgia, right? There's no disputing that. They have talent like this. They have players. So him being able to run away from them, make throws, yeah, he shot up that board, and he was disrespected last year. But I don't want to act like dude was bad. let's not change it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not act like he was done wrong. Like, yeah, I know that story with
he was bad at moments.
At moments, right? But he wasn't like. Wasn't nobody looking at him being like, all right. They was thinking, what's the other Alabama's quarterback name? Blake Sims. That's what they was looking at, bro.
That's crazy.
No, it's not though. It's not, because that's last year. Blake Sims, I'm pretty sure, took him places too. So, and it's a good comparison, man. But he's definitely, that game against Georgia just put him in another tier as far as where his career can go. He needed that game just to change perception, like, because a lot of draft stuff is, man, one guy says something good about you one time, and then nobody ever comes back and double checks the work. You know what I'm saying? So. Mitch Trubisky, whatever. These quarterbacks get this one good tag one time, but there's nobody really doubling down. So his first report was, man, Saban should have benched him. Saban this, he can't do this, he can't do that. So I'm glad he got that on film. I'm glad he did it on the biggest stage. But first round pick is crazy, but he's gonna. I think he deserves to be drafted. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be a player in the NFL. But he deserves to be a draft pick or a top 5 quarterback off the board, without a doubt.
Yeah, I don't think first round pick is crazy, because you got to think about quarterbacks that's been taken in the first round. Any first round that includes a Mitch Trubisky, that includes a Drake May, that includes a Tim Tebow, like, it's not crazy. Do I think he's the best quarterback off the board? No, but it's not crazy. And I'm looking at I'm finna let Rocky go, but I'm looking at a mock draft that just came out today from SB Nation. Sports Nation, and they got him going number 9 to the New York Giants. So that's a major change after what we've seen over the last few weeks prior to this game, and where they had
9.
Yeah, 9 might be
a far jump.
That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump. I'm not going to say it's too far fetched, because Daniel Jones got picked like top 15. So I'm not going to say it's just a far stretch, because this is just what the
Daniel Jones was 6 or 9.
Yeah, he was in the top 10. He was in the top 10 somewhere. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a far stretch, because this is what NFL GMs do. They always take a far stretch when it comes to these quarterbacks. Rocky, what's your opinion on the game and Jalen Milroe's status?
So, I don't like being prisoner of the moment when you talk about these guys as prospects, right?
Facts.
I mean, he made some sensational plays during the game. But what I like to look at quarterbacks is, and I know this is kind of nuanced a bit, but what does the routine play look like? Because in my opinion, the two big plays were both interceptions in the NFL.
Yeah.
Those are picks.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's they both were behind the 17-year-old.
Yeah, Ryan Williams.
Yeah. For the most part.
Yep.
Took amazing adjustments by him to catch him. And those are picks in the NFL.
They are.
And for the most part, the guy was covered.
Yeah.
So you can't say it was a great read or he saw him. You know what I mean? It was, he realized he had the best athlete on the field or the best athlete out there in space, and he got the ball to him. I think there's something to be said about that, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's something to be said about that judgment and decision making. All in all, Jalen Milroe is a tremendous athlete, but at this point, he's a thrower of the football, in my opinion. He's not a passer. When I look at what he does passing the football versus what Shedeur does passing the football, they're light years apart, man.
Yeah.
Now again, let me be clear about this part of it. I'm just talking about passing. Because when you talk about athleticism and explosiveness, Shedeur and Jalen Milroe are on two different planets.
Fact.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're on two different planets. They're not even in the same class. Jason Milroe is, and this is what makes a guy like Jason Milroe a tricky prospect as the NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how much will he develop understanding that he has superior athletic ability, and his superior athletic ability not just translates on Saturday, but he's going to be a great athlete on Sunday too.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be able to outrun D linemen and linebackers on Sunday as well.
For sure.
So how will he dive into that playbook and then settle down and develop his craft as a quarterback so that he can function at a high level as a quarterback?
Yeah.
That's what, in my opinion, that has separated Lamar from a lot of other guys with great athletic ability. Lamar has become a tremendous quarterback because he's developed those skills, whether it be mastering the check down, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
making the routine play look easy, those kind of things. He's not always chasing the spectacular play. And I think Jason Milroe, I want to see him be able to continue to make that routine play look easy. Because half of his yards he threw for 370, but half of his yards came on like 3 throws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's not him matriculating the ball. Again, when a guy like Shedeur passes the ball 36 for 24, 290 yards, that's an NFL stat line.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to look like in the NFL.
Yeah.
You're not going to hit 6 or 7 explosive plays in one game.
No.
Unless you're Jared Goff. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that's how it looks, matriculating the ball down the field with precision passing, making the right read. That's what I want to see more from Jason Milroe. But certainly he's a first round prospect as a quarterback. Considering, like you said, Mitchell Trubisky. I always miss Christian Ponder.
Blaine Gabbert, if we're going to go all the way back to that jab. Yeah. Some of these guys.
Some of these guys that even Drake May.
Yeah.
Yes. He's more impressive as a quarterback, in my opinion, than Drake May has been.
For sure.
And Drake May went third, right?
Third.
Yeah. So I think, he's a first round guy. I'd love to see him go to the Giants. I'd love to see him go to the Giants. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. But if he can't, again, you take a guy like Daniel Jones, who I consider Daniel Jones is a pretty darn good athlete.
Yeah,
you know,
he is.
By anybody's account.
Yeah.
The problem with Daniel Jones is he can't make the simple play. He struggles to make a simple play. He struggles to hit the wide open wide receiver. He struggles, you know what I mean? And he never converts in a big spot in a football game.
Never.
You know what I mean? So
never.
So just like when they were down, when the Cowboys had them down with a minute left to go in the game.
Yeah. You knew the game was
man, it was over. Yeah, you forget that.
Without Micah and D-Law, you still knew.
Come on now.
This is a wrap.
He hurt neighbors on that pass on the last. You know what I mean?
He did.
You know, so at the end of the day, Milroe is a prospect. He's far from a finished product, though.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
His talent and ability, based on his production, definitely warrants a first round.
Yeah, and I agree.
Selection.
I agree. I think he's pretty much everything you said. I think he's definitely a first round, especially just because the other quarterbacks that we've named. So I can't say that he's not a first round talent. Do I think he's going to come in the NFL and dominate? No, not at all. And
but let me ask you guys this. I'll ask you guys this. How does the fact that there's going to be 5 top NFL prospects at quarterback, and when you have 5 like that, as you saw this past year, when there was quite a few of them, it just becomes a matter of preference and style by each team.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the teams we don't know who the teams are going to be at the top of the board, so we don't have any idea who's going to have the first. You know, it could, with the way things are going, the top teams could already, you know, like you just
have
said,
a quarterback.
If it's the Jaguars, if it's
Arizona.
the Bengals and
Arizona,
those guys already have quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So with those guys, and they have quarterbacks on long-term deals.
Yep.
So, you know, what do? You know, a team that needs a quarterback probably now won't draft. You know, it could be they don't draft to 5.
Yeah. Depends on where you put Tennessee, because they for sure are going to pick a quarterback first, and they might be. Right now they got Shador projected to go to Tennessee with the number 2 overall pick. You think Prime will put the stop on that? Yeah, I think so too. But Jalen Milroe, he'll be in that first round, like you said, and I'm not huge on him in the NFL, and that's not as much of him. It's just I'm never huge on Alabama quarterbacks. If you're throwing the 99 overalls the whole time you're in college.
I think Shador's situation is pretty much summed up. He's probably going to go, I think
he's going to New York, just in my opinion.
So this is what I think, and this we kind of get upset. But I think Shador basically is Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know if they lose enough games.
The Rams.
Yeah. I don't think they lose enough games either. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's why I think it's Rams or America's team.
Come on, man. He's not going to Dallas. Y'all not going to lose enough games for him to go to Dallas.
No, I don't. I think Shador is going to be in a spot where there's some teams that's going to label him undraftable based on who his dad is.
That is true. Some teams are going to do that. But for him to fall in the teens somewhere to a Dallas Cowboys, he's going to have to slap somebody on Colorado's campus.
So this is one – Kyrell, let me ask you this. Because of how the teams are shaping up, that either drafted quarterbacks or have franchise quarterbacks, do you also – like my thing is these quarterbacks won't go to – these quarterbacks, unless someone trades up, there will not be a quarterback drafted first. I believe there won't be a quarterback drafted first. What do you guys think?
Kyra, I'll let you go.
Nah, it really honestly depends on who gets that pick.
Tennessee.
You know, is it the Giants? Is it Tennessee? Yeah, if it's not
Carolina,
Giants or Tennessee or Carolina, I don't think any other team's drafting the quarterback. Maybe the Browns aren't going to be that low, but
I think Carolina,
they might be.
They could be, yeah, but I don't think so, man.
The Browns aren't going to draft a quarterback. They're already paying $30 million.
Oh, he's gone. This is Deshaun Watson last time in the Cleveland Browns jersey.
He got 2 more years left on his deal.
They already restructured his deal. He's out of here. They restructured his deal before the season started. Deshaun Watson's gone. This is the last time we're going to look at. Might be in the league. This is the last time we're going to look at him in Cleveland.
He didn't give back any of that money though.
They restructured it. He did. He gave back some of the money. They restructured his deal. I think it's like $30 million less or something like that. It's not a whole bunch of money, but they restructured it, and they probably did it some type of way where they can end up releasing him. They're going to take that cap hit, and he's going to be out of there. So the Browns will be picking a quarterback. Carolina's going to pick a quarterback. Tennessee is going to pick a quarterback. New York is going to pick a quarterback. And those are all teams that could be right up there at the top. Depending on how these next few weeks go, Indianapolis is going to be picking a quarterback. Anthony Richardson, I told y'all, he's all right, man. I'm trying to tell you, Anthony Richardson can't throw the ball from me to you. He can throw the ball through a brick wall, but if you wide open and you 10 yards away, it's going into the stands. And I've been saying that. But go ahead and finish your point, Kyrell, to what you think about the teams making the top pick.
Yeah, man, it's going to be tough. I think Travis Hunter is probably going to be the number one pick because I think, for one, I think the team that's going to have the number one pick is probably going to be the team that the quarterback may retire this year, you know? Like, I mean, not the number one pick, but I think the first team that's going to be able to pick, because I think the Giants are going to win games, y'all.
They are. I don't think they're going to be a top 5 pick either.
I think your best bet is the Titans. Like, and if it's not the Titans, I think it's going to be Miami. I don't think Miami going to win no more games without Tua. Like, and there's no telling if he going to even come back, you know?
He's going to come back.
You guys are speaking about something that kind of hit me last night. Mm-hmm. Watching the game. If Tua comes back, right? They still have to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, they have to.
You understand what I'm saying? Like if Tua
have to,
even if Tua comes back, they still have to draft a quarterback. I'll say this, man. This is what I would do if I was Miami. I would encourage Tua to retire.
For sure.
Right? Let him, pay him his money, pay him whatever guarantee he's out over the next couple of years. Draft a quarterback. Because you still can get a quarterback for a cap hit about $6 or $7 million if you draft a rookie. That means you still got $50 million tied up in a quarterback, but you still have a up and coming quarterback, and by the time that quarterback is ready for a franchise deal, if he pans out, you won't have Tua on the box. So my deal is there's no way it'll be malpractice in my opinion if Miami doesn't in some way draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're taking a quarterback this year. Now the problem is,
and I think they're going to be, in my opinion, they're going to be at the top. And
that's why I disagree.
And I think that, to me, that would be the ideal spot for Shedeur.
I mean, that would be more than ideal. I mean, you couldn't write a story better than that if he went to Miami. But the problem is, I think Tua's going to come back this year.
On the hot seat too, by the way. So
yeah. Oh man, come on, man. I better not see the put on. I better not see that and put on no Miami Dolphins uniform and go out there. But I don't think the Dolphins are going to pick that high because I think Tua's going to come back. Unfortunately, I think he should retire. But I've already been watching these last couple of days. They're saying he's been completely cleared for the last 2 weeks, and it's just pretty much up to his decision already.
So
they're saying
my
that.
question to you: what happened the last time he had a concussion and he came back?
He got concussed again.
Was he the same player?
In my opinion, yeah, but because I didn't think he was.
No, what I'm saying is, did the offense have that type of performance?
No, but the only time the offense did was last year when he didn't get a concussion. So,
and I can say this: he didn't have Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
either
that's what I'm saying.
The first time he got concussed.
Yeah. So now I think he's going to come out. They're going to win enough games for them to not be a top 5 pick, which is going to hurt him in the long run.
Well, I think they're going to be quarterbacks all over the board this year.
Yeah, I think they're getting they're getting a quarterback.
You got
for sure.
5. So how many teams are going to say, okay, this is what I think is going to be, one of the dilemmas. We got 5 because there are going to be teams with 2 picks, right?
Yeah.
So if I can get Travis Hunter and my quarterback, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think I forget the teams that have 2 picks, but there are a couple teams that have 2 picks in the draft. And I want to say one of the teams that have 2 picks, I don't think it's Carolina, but I can't remember. Somebody has 2 picks. 2 picks. And if you can get your quarterback, so to me, Cam Ward and Shedeur is a wash. If those 2 guys are your guys, whether you get Cam Ward or you get Shedeur, you're gonna get a great quarterback. If you add Jalen Milroe into that mix as well, that's 3 guys that you possibly could get. And then if they consider Carson Beck one of those guys as well, then you got 4 chances to get a competent quarterback. And I forget who the 5th quarterback is. I can't think of.
Did you already say Cam Ward?
Yeah, I said Cam Ward.
Cam.
That's 5.
Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers. If you put him in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest with you. This may be worst case scenario for Texas, but I believe Arch could come out if he wanted to, right?
No, he's still too young. He's a redshirt freshman.
Oh, okay.
But next year he can.
Okay.
Next year he can as a redshirt sophomore. He can, yeah. But yeah, so Quinn is in there. Cam is in there. I mean, yeah, it's like you said, it's 5 picks, and some of these teams right now. I'm looking. It says no teams have multiple first-round picks.
Oh, okay.
Only the Bills have 2 second-round picks. But so no team has multiple first-round picks this year. This will be the first year in a minute that everybody has their pick going into the season.
Full complement of picks.
Yeah, everybody has a full first-round picks at least.
Because I think teams, especially those offensive guru type guys, are going to get ahead of the quarterback thing. Like I think,
hopefully Miami.
The Rams may get ahead of the quarterback.
Oh yeah,
thing.
For sure. They're picking a quarterback this year.
They haven't had a first-round pick. May get ahead of the quarterback thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see that.
I personally think that would be a pretty good place for Shedeur.
That would be a great place for Shedeur if he went. I just don't think they'll be picking that high, but that would be a great place for. There's multiple teams in here, and that's the thing. Like you said, a lot of the bad teams have quarterbacks, so there's multiple teams in here that would be a great place. I would love to see Shedeur on the Rams, and go in there and take over from Matt Stafford with Sean McVay as an offensive mind and Cooper Kupp, and just be in a good offensive situation. I would hate to see him in Carolina. I would hate to see him in Tennessee because I don't want to see him.
I think the game is rigged, man. And I think he's going to Las Vegas, to be perfectly honest with you.
It will make perfect sense if Vegas stop winning games. Yeah, I will see that. Vegas better hurry up, which they're going to start doing because Devontae Adams just talked about a trade. We don't got enough time to cover that today, but he just came out and said he wants to get a trade. So a lot going on there, folks. So before we wrap up here today, I want to talk a little bit about Colorado's potential and what they can do. We saw they had a big win last week against UCF in a game that I thought Colorado would win, but I thought it would be a little bit closer than what it was. And Colorado came out there, and, I mean, they proved themselves. They proved themselves as much as you can prove yourself so far in this year after the loss to Nebraska. They stepped up against Baylor when they needed to make plays. And they blew out UCF, a UCF team that was undefeated coming into this game and that was supposed to be a dangerous team running the ball. Colorado showed they can stop the run. They showed they can stop the run. R.J. Harvey didn't go for 150 yards like he's done against everybody else so far this year. K.J. Jefferson, they did why he's in UCF and not Arkansas anymore. They knew you put him in passing situation, he's going to fail, unfortunately. And they did that, and he failed. Now, Travis Hunter proved to me once again, he is the best player in the country. 9 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. And once again, with the interception maybe of the year already, with the pick he had, just showing off his great ball instincts, getting that pick that he got against UCF. So the Colorado Buffaloes, as we look forward in this season, and after what they did to UCF, they got Kansas State next. Huge game against Kansas State. That's a winnable game, though. We look at how Kansas State has looked over these last couple weeks. They got beat down by BYU, a BYU team that almost lost to Baylor on Saturday. And Kansas State got beat down by that team. So are they beatable? Yes. And this game is at home for the Buffaloes. So as you start to look through the rest of this Big 12 schedule, I hate to put these expectations on Colorado because I just wanted them to be good. But this team can get into the college football playoffs. they've got a chance. They've got a lane here to win majority of the rest of these games, get to the Big 12 championship, and if you win the Big 12 championship, you get an automatic bid to the college football playoffs. They've got a path laid out here. It's going to depend a lot on what they look like against Kansas State, and they still got Utah on the schedule. I would say Oklahoma State, but I think after the last 2 weeks that they've had, I think it's time to be out on Oklahoma State as far as a contender in the Big 12. Utah is still a good team. Kansas State is still a pretty decent team, but very winnable games for Colorado. Rocky, what do you think about Colorado's chances, man?
Well, I again, so I don't mean to be critical, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, but I think for the Big 12 in particular, it's way too early to tell who the players are in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And that's because a lot of the teams that you thought would be far and away dominant or have an option, you look at coming into the deal, I thought Oklahoma State would be pretty good. I thought Kansas State would be pretty good. As you guys know, I said early in the season that I thought Iowa State was the best team in the Big 12. But everybody's looking a little shaky, man.
Everybody.
Kansas, I thought they would be a player.
Yeah.
And they're 1-4. So you look at Colorado, and again, I looked at their schedule. Say they do take a loss against Kansas State, right? But they end up with a winnable game against Arizona.
Yep.
A winnable game against Cincinnati. Definitely a winnable game against Tech. A very competitive game against Utah. Come in and play in Kansas. They could finish this season out easily 6-2. I mean, let me see, 6-1, 5-2.
Yeah.
And that would be a huge. You're talking about a 9-3 team.
Yeah.
Forget college playoffs. I think that's a little lofty as far as expectations. But these guys had, after the first game, they were a 5-win team, they thought.
Yeah.
So I'm really anxious to see how it unfolds. As you can know, injuries are going to tell a lot with the level of depth if they don't have it at Colorado.
Yeah.
That could determine what kind of season they have. But what the expectations for their season are going to be, I think is going to be determined by this game coming up against Kansas State. And if they beat Kansas State, right, that's the last game they're going to be. Well, they may be an underdog against Utah as well. But if they beat Kansas State, they won't be an underdog to anybody other than Utah.
Yeah.
But Utah took it upside the head this past weekend.
Yeah. They did.
They let Arizona hold them to 10 points.
Yep.
And so now I'm wondering, I'm side-eyeing Utah now. How good is Utah? You look at Arizona. They got beat by Kansas State, but they had a close game against Northern Arizona.
Yeah.
So I mean, who are they? Because this is two deals. Arizona got beat pretty handily by Kansas State, but they turn around 2 weeks later, coming off a bye, and beat Utah, who was the presumptive favorite.
Yeah.
Right? So, man, you don't know. Utah's deal, their situation is everybody seems that their situation is related to their whatever their quarterback situation is. But that may be malarkey.
Yeah.
The problem is you won't know week to week can these teams be consistent in the Big 12. And so far, nobody's been consistent. And I'll put Colorado on those list of teams that have been inconsistent because you go, hey, they played Nebraska, got took it on the chin, come back, play Baylor, kind of have a miracle win.
Yeah.
Going into a game where they're the 14-point underdog.
That was crazy.
And they dismantle UCF.
Yeah.
So let's see what the, again, they have a bye week.
Yeah.
I think this bye week comes for a great time for Colorado because guess what? You don't have that potential of having a letdown the week after. I thought they would have a letdown against the emotional win at Baylor.
Yeah.
But it seems like they were even more focused.
Yeah, they were.
So yeah, I just think my expectation for Colorado is going to be week to week, man. Again, their win total was 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
4.5 some places.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they're going to exceed that. But again, I think around this time last year, they were 3-1 or something like that.
They were.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Only time will tell with this Colorado team. Kyra, what do you think about Colorado and their future after the big win against UCF last weekend?
Yeah, I had them winning that game, but my perspective on Colorado has changed since the Baylor game. So I'm with Rocky and really you too, man. Like I think they have a shot to, I'm not gonna say run the table, but come out of here maybe with one other loss.
Yeah.
If they can show up, because they're going to get some talented teams. My picks for the Big 12 was Kansas, so that's already dead.
Yeah, you out of there.
I'm out of there, so my opinion don't really hold too much weight on this conference no more. But, man, so now I get to be a fan, though. Now I get to just root for, Shador and Travis and the Colorado football team and all those other players, and I'm thinking that, of course, if they go to the playoff, I'm not giving them no shot. I'm sorry. But depending on who's there. But I'm expecting for some heavy hitters to be there.
Yeah.
That aren't in the Big 12. But as far as a Big 12 championship or, just a top record in the conference, that seems like it might be more and more something that's attainable for this Colorado football team. It's crazy to say after watching that front seven.
Kyrell, let me ask you this. What do you consider a successful season at this point for Coach Prime and the Buffaloes?
7 wins. That's what I would have said before the season. That's what I'm gonna say now. 7 wins. I will be.
See, I'm with you. I think 7 wins is a successful season, right? I think any expectation above that is. I'm not saying it's unrealistic, but you're setting them up for a letdown, right?
Which
so
they
if
want to do.
Keep the expectations realistic. Like, I don't think, considering how they played against Baylor, it wasn't out the realm of possibility that they go to Florida and get mollywopped. Yeah. I don't think that was out the realm of possibility, right? Considering what UCF had done. And so as long as the program keeps realistic expectations, stays focused, right, and not let prosperity get the best of them, I think if they take a game-to-game approach, they'll get those 7 wins. It's just what I would hate is they would get to a situation, maybe they win the next 3 games.
Yeah.
And they go again and they get in a situation against Tech where they think they're supposed to be on their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they get clipped at Tech because we know how Lubbock can be.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Early in the fall. And, wins. You know what I mean? You may go there, can't pass the ball, and you get clipped, and all of a sudden they're undermined by their own expectations, and they don't come out and play against Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. I just want them to keep everything realistic, continue to play it game by game, because that way I think they have a chance to have a really special season. They can't afford to get ahead of themselves, in my opinion.
Yeah, they can't, and I hope that they don't, and that they take it game by game, just like you said. But before we get off of here, I want to just stay right there on the Colorado Buffaloes because we're just about out of time. Is Shador right now still the top dog as far as quarterback prospects coming out of the college season when this is all said and done? Is he still the top prospect? We talked about Jalen Milroe. We know there's still Cam Ward out there. He's having a great season. We know there's still Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers as well. Whenever he comes back, they just announced he's going to come back against Oklahoma. Is Shedeur still that top dog as far as draft prospect? Kyrie, I'll start with you. What do you think about the way that these quarterbacks have looked? We've got a few games now, not a lot, but we got a few games now under the belt to kind of judge these quarterbacks on. Is Shedeur still that top dog in your opinion, or was he ever that top dog?
Yeah, he was. For me, the Baylor game, I had to change my opinion. I had to eat some humble pie and change my opinion. He was so solid 2, probably 2A for me, with Cam Ward being 2B. But I'm going to move him to the 1A spot, right? So I have him and Quinn on equal footing, with Shedeur getting a slight edge at 1A and Quinn 1B, and then Cam Ward at 2. Again, I want to reiterate, man, this draft class for quarterbacks is not just piping hot, man. Shedeur's a dog, and I want to salute him because there's been very few times I watched a player and changed my mind, on the fly. I was like, okay, hey, he can't make this throw. Okay, he can put it out there for sure. So his playmaking ability, is what did it for me. Just his ability to constantly get moved off his spot and deliver throws outside the pocket, man. I was like, you know what? The NFL is chaos, and I like that trait. So he's definitely the top dog at this moment for me. Quinn and Cam, close second. But yeah, those top 3 it'll go Shedeur, Quinn, and then Cam Ward for me. Again, want to reiterate, this class is not their class in 2 years. Well, I would take freshmen over all those quarterbacks right now. But yeah, Shedeur is the top of this class.
Yeah, I'm putting Shedeur number 1. I got Quinn and Cam somewhere tied for 2 and 3 in there because, I think Cam has been playing great so far this year. Just pick your poison, really, with them on who you want. And then I'm taking Jalen Milroe over Carson Beck, honestly. I've never been just that impressed with Carson Beck. I'm never going to take – hasn't been a Georgia quarterback that I liked since Matt Stafford, and it's not going to start with Carson Beck either. So I got Jalen Milroe ahead of him, and then I guess Carson Beck in there somewhere, depending on who else shows himself to be strong throughout these next couple weeks at the quarterback spot. But Rocky, what do you think? Is Shedeur still that top dog as number 1 pick? Or not the number 1 pick, just number 1 quarterback off the board?
He never was the top dog. I was a player that followed Cam Ward and he cornered Word. Then he went to Washington State.
Yeah.
And now he's at Miami. He's a transformational player. He's in the vein of a Steve McNair kind of guy in that regard. Not in kind of player, but just how he impacts a program. He's a player that can carry a program, and so with that being said, I think he's the top dog. After him, I think Quentin Ewers, he edges out Shedeur as the pocket passer, just basically because he's had similar, but he's played longer at the Power 5 level, at the Power 4 level than Shedeur, and he's had the same or similar production as Shedeur. You got to remember, Shedeur played 2 years at FCS level. Quentin Ewers this is his 3rd year and he's beat the Alabamas. You know what I mean? He's played in big games and played well, and so I just got to take Quentin Ewers, and then Shedeur Sanders would come in next. But as a 3rd option, he's probably the best 3rd option we've had in 20 years.
Yeah, if he's your 3rd, he's definitely the best 3rd.
And then I'll put Milroe behind him and then go with Carson Beck. I just don't know that Carson Beck's just ice cream, man. I mean, it's good, but it's just ice cream. You know what I mean? And again, if you got all the other parts, everything else functions at a high level, high functioning defense, high functioning special teams, 3 top-notch receivers, couple top-notch running backs, a more above average offensive line, he's going to look great. He's going to look great
to the Lions
until he plays a team that makes him play.
Mm-hmm.
What is he when you make him play? See, that's the thing about the NFL each and every week. They have a way of forcing your quarterback to win or lose the game.
Yeah.
They can put it in his lap. And the guys that are able to decide their team's fate, those are the guys that, that end up franchise quarterbacks and whatever. Those guys that get those opportunities and they don't impact whether their team win or lose. You can put 3 or 4 different guys in there and it's the same situation. Those guys aren't remembered. Those guys aren't, whatever. But again, how many of those guys, how many of those Mitch Trubisky's, Christian Ponders, E.J. Manuels, all these guys, how many of those guys get drafted in the first round and end up just being guys? So he could be special. Carson Beck could be special, but he also could just be a guy. We'll see.
And I think it's going to be just a guy. Now, I'm definitely 100% disagreeing with your point on Quinn Ewers because I think Shedeur has gotten way more squeeze out of the lemon from what he's had than Quinn Ewers, who's never not played with, surrounded by a first-round pick. So I'm definitely.
But he's been in games that they've made him play though. And,
he has.
And so that's so let me give a different distinction. Quinn Ewers has been in games where it's been on him to determine the fate of his team, whether it's against Oklahoma,
and he
whether
lost.
against the University of Alabama.
He won Alabama.
Yeah. And so
he lost Oklahoma though at the same time.
Yeah. But there's been some other games where he's decided the fate of his team.
Everybody points to that Alabama game. Alabama was struggling, as we all saw going into that game. Quinn Ewers did win it. Alabama was struggling. They did look way better. If they played in the college football playoffs, you think Texas would have beat them?
I think so, yes.
Oh, no.
I think Texas
got smacked by Washington. All right, come on.
Texas got some bad calls against Washington.
And they still got smacked by Washington, who had 3 good players on the entire team. And he's surrounded by first-round picks on the defense and offense. But that's a whole nother debate for another day. Folks, I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today, man. Had a great show. Appreciate Rocky for jumping on here with me. Shout out Kyrell for jumping on here with me, too. Make sure you tune in at 8 o'clock, HBCU Coach's Corner. Rocky Miller going to be right back here on 94.5 HD2. So tune in for that. We'll be back here tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Still got a lot of teams to talk about. We didn't get to dive through the full college slate or NFL slate, so we still got plenty to talk about, and NBA season right around the corner. So don't miss tomorrow's episode, Centex Primetime. Tune in 5 to 7 p.m. on YouTube. Make sure you guys go on there and subscribe. Hit that like button. Also, hit the bell so you can get notified every time that we go live. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in with us today. We'll be back here tomorrow at 5. We will see you guys then. Have a great evening.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex.